Suneera Madhani. Suneera Madhani.
Without much further ado, I'd like to welcome Suneera.
Hi, I'm Suneera Madhani, a mom of two, daughter of an immigrant, and an unlikely entrepreneur who built $1 billion business. Yes, billion. Now I'm doing it again and building my second unicorn, Worth. Shockingly, less than 2% of female founders ever reach 1 million in revenue, and I'm on a mission to change that. At CEO School, we mentor thousands of women to help them level up in business and in life. We believe that you deserve to have it all because honestly, nothing bad happens when women make more money. Grab a seat because class is officially in session. Welcome to CEO School. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the CEO School podcast. It's Suneera here, and the last two episodes were so good. I felt like I had so much to share, and it was so much easier to share it because I had a friend with me, and that's honestly what happens. That's why being with your girlfriends and being with people that you love, they just pull out something different in you, and it just helps it be more honest and drive amazing conversations. And so I really hope you guys enjoyed the last two episodes. And if you didn't, definitely go check them out before you tune into today's episode. We spoke all about health journey, my personal health journey, and we're talking about mind and body. And Carolina Flores, who is my podcast manager, dear friend, Millionaire Founders Club member, super boss, super mom, happened to also be here in the studio. And so today, as I was walking in, I'm like, Caro, that was so fun. And I felt like we left the audience a little bit hanging. So without further ado, I invited her back.
Here we are.
Here we are. Thank you, Carolina.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
This
was so fun.
Thank you for being such a trooper. Like, honestly, today she was like, studio's ready because we're supposed to record. We're recording weekly. So I'm like, studio's ready to go. Suneera, what time are you arriving? I'm like, I'm on my way. And then she's like, it's back to its normal setting of one, Carlos, her husband. It's like, everything's ready to go. And I'm like, why'd you move the chair? Caro, can you just join me on today's episode?
And of course, I cannot say no to you. So here we are. I literally didn't have makeup 30 minutes ago. So
it's good.
It's fine.
We're
fine. Good.
It's Monday. So just for behind the scenes, and you're listening on Monday, actually. So it is Monday. It's our Monday. It's Monday here today. I don't even have my podcast makeup on. I have flats on today. Barely, my hair is back. It's dirty. It was like a busy morning with the kids back to school.
Which means this is going to be the best conversation.
I think so. This is unfiltered. This is like not planned, but I did feel last two episodes, I really felt that you were able to pull some of the questions out of me that I know the audience always has these questions, and I'm always trying to deliver awesome business stuff, which we do. I sit down, I write the outlines, and I'm like, here's what you want to learn, and here's my approach to teaching them, which I love to do. But then there's this I don't want to call it like just like the natural conversations that don't get to happen if you don't have somebody to talk to.
Right.
So I loved it. And I did feel we went so over last time. So we made it a 2-part episode. And then like Carolina was late picking up her kids. Like we're also busy moms. And so I did feel like we rushed the ending of it.
We did.
And so I kind of want to close up the last conversation. And we said that we were going to talk about the next part of it. So we talked a lot about mind and body, but then there was this other part.
Yes.
Spirit.
That
was that we want to talk about because these are the things that this is part of this 2.0 journey that I wish somebody had given me this advice or I took this. Probably there was that advice out there.
Right.
We just don't take it.
Yeah. And I think you're just so in the moment, right? Like the spirit stuff is so intangible, it feels. And so we're so busy, when you're in the everyday grind, you're looking and putting your hands to the things that are in front of you. And so you kind of put that intangible in the back burner. But Suneera, I would love for you to share, like, what has that looked like for you now? Because I know you've been sharing that's been a big part. I mean, in the last episode, you were like, you meditated for like 9 hours or something, or what was that?
I will show you. I will literally pull it up. It has been the most transformative. I don't know who I am. Like I am me. I'm at 12 hours this month of August. Like this is August right now we're recording. Wow. And I don't know if you can like zoom in here. Or why don't you just read it 12 hours and look at my reason why. I had to put like a little affirmation of like why I meditate.
I love that.
Read it.
It says, I am learning to reduce stress and anxiety and increase focus and creativity, increase happiness and inner peace, and grow spiritually. I love that. I love that so much for you.
So much for me.
Who are you?
I don't know. I'm so happy. I'm me. I'm still the same me. I'm still the same me.
But it's almost like you're a better version.
Yes. An evolved, like growing version, right? That's what we are. We're a growing version. And I'm not. And I want to say before we like start talking about all of this, like my goal whenever I share these things, like we're all in different, what I don't love about the internet and when I am scrolling through Instagram or I'm seeing stuff, there's definitely a huge part of sometimes it's so inspiring and I'm like, oh, I love that outfit or I love what she's doing and I love that for the kids and I love that, that little game where you can pick one or two things and you take the kids to like Target or whatever. Like there's so many fun things that come about it. But then there's also this comparison feeling all the time of like, I'm not doing enough or I could be doing better. And then there's like that inner dialogue that does take place somewhere inside of like, I should be, the should word. Right. I should all over myself all the time. We've talked about this on the show so much. We're always shitting ourselves.
Yes, unfortunately.
Always shitting ourselves. And it's hard, right? And one of the areas like that I really try to be mindful of is I want to share all the things with you, but also, everything's going to fall into place at the right time for everyone. And I really do believe that. And there are moments of when you need to hear the things that you need to hear. And I believe that there are people that, there are things that will come up in my feed that I needed in that moment or, people that will come into my life in the times that we need it. And so just trust the process of it all too. Yes. And I never want it to be this takeaway of every time you come into my space that I ever make you feel that you're not good enough or that you should be doing more or like this is the only path. And so I do want to just share that to say that I had a really different journey that was amazing that I wouldn't change over the last decade. I have a lot of lessons from it. And as I'm like, I think that this is also what just happens naturally from when you go from like your 20s to your 30s to like your 40s. And I'm sure that I'm going to have another evolution in like the next decade. And so I've just been trying to this last 2 years of this post exit, I just took the time to actually try to understand myself. And I'm still figuring her out. But I knew that a huge part of it, which we talked about in the last episode, was, my health. And it was less about, for me at that time, it was less about, I still had the confidence. I was still showing up. It wasn't about what I look like on the outside. Although now I'm like, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy where I love myself. Like, not that I didn't love myself before, but it was about what was inside. It was my health inside. And then to take that health journey, I had to take a really big mindset journey, which I also shared with all of you, right? That, I was, and we talked about it, medication. Like if you need medication, you need to be on medication. I knew that I wasn't doing the work that I could to first try to take, like, if I just put in the work, I knew that I didn't need to be on it. And maybe I'll be in a place where it might change, but I did go on a journey to find and evolve and grow, and the health piece happened and the mindset piece happened, which is still a work in progress. And there was this part of me that as I was going through all the things, I lost a lot of faith also in like the last decade of building First Time. I've always been somebody who's been naturally, I wouldn't say religious is not the word, but I grew up in a Muslim household, and my family was actually way more spiritual than they were religious. And I grew up around spirituality, but I also grew up without having all the rules of religion because we were a very liberal Muslim household. And I look back now and we had faith, but I didn't have, I have a lot of friends who were Muslim that had, and there's not, not saying that it's either good or bad, but had, ways that religion was practiced or praying certain times a day or doing certain things. And when I'd go to mosque, there was definitely like rituals of religion that I like didn't understand. I'm like, well, why does that make sense? Or why do we do this? Or why do we pray like this? And, but I definitely questioned faith a lot. However, I was still always somebody who was always connected to something bigger. Like I always felt that there is a universal presence, and whether that be karma. I always believed in like all of the energy, like whatever energy frequency. And now I feel like there's a lot of cool ways to say it. And there's a lot of like new tools and words. But I did feel connected to energy. I do understand, like I've always been good at connecting with people, and people is just, it's all energy. I really do believe that we're in this flow of energy in the world. And I do believe that we have purpose and that we have higher purpose of why we are here. And I think that search for purpose is a very human thing, and that comes in different like waves in our lives. And I did feel really lost towards the end of my, and it's not, I'm going to say like God should never be convenient, right? Because that's what my mom will tell me. It's like religion is not about convenience, right? It's about conviction, right? Yes. So it's never about convenience. Yeah. And I understand that. But when you're in it, sometimes you're out of it, right? When you're so heads down, you actually are just not, you're just in it. And so I kind of always found a way for spirituality to really be a thing about convenience and not really about conviction. And I also didn't know, like I just wasn't on a path, but I knew that I was spiritually centered, and I believe in energy, and I do believe in karma. Like that's like the 100% thing. I do believe that you do good, you get good, you put out good, you're going to receive good. And that's even just for like how your day goes, right? And so I've always been like a creature of that. I also have always been grounded in being able to just, and the word manifest is like what the word is now, but like really truly believing in yourself or seeing what the future, like how you envision your life to be. Right. And then of course I believe in like working towards the manifestation too. So it's not just going to fall out of the sky. Absolutely. But I do believe that you have to make your asks. You have to be intentional. And so all of that's always been, to sum it up, has always been part of like how I've been grounded. But I was making spirituality about convenience. It was never going to be convenient. And recently, like going through all of the changes over the last like 2 years, I did feel that I was missing a part of me, which I always have been grounded in purpose, but I started to really question like my why and like my existence. And so like I'm here, I have this, I want to do all these good things, but like, why do I really want to do it? Is it my ego, like checking in with myself of like inwardly with all the work that I was doing? Is it, like what is the reason? And also after like now my girls, like just being a mom, like being a mother, and, wanting them to be spiritually grounded and aligned, and, ensuring that they're like, that they have good value systems, that, these are all good things. Like I do feel like it's not about religion, but it's about like being a good person and being kind. And there's so many great things that spirituality teaches us that I do want my kids to understand and be part of, because those were the things that helped, like when I look back, those are the things that helped make me. Right. And so that's kind of been this journey. And I wanted to share a little bit of like that prequel of like where Suneera was and where I'm at today. Was I always try to make it about convenience, and there's just never going to be a convenient time. But I felt like there was something deep down that I wanted to connect with, and I wanted to connect more with the energy. I wanted to connect more with the universe. I started listening a lot more to just the most amazing, authors and writers, and across all different, not any like specific religion or, style of anything, but just focusing on how to tap into this like amazing universe and this amazing universal energy that we have. And that's just the flow that I've been in. And so I set out on a path to go find like amazing mentors and guides and teachers who, like, I love tools, right? So like I love tools. I'm like, how can I see myself as a very like, not just spiritually inside, but how do I make practice of it? Right. And so meditation is always something that I've wanted to, I know it's good for me. I know I want to do it. I just haven't been able to make it a habit. Journaling was a way that I did it, but I made a decision, earlier this year that I've checked off 2 of the things, and I'm craving. Like I feel like you have to be ready for it, and I was just ready for it. Absolutely. So I went on a path.
I love that. There's something that I've heard it said that a good thing in the wrong time is still the wrong thing. And to your point earlier of like, as you're sharing these things and people may listen and feel the need to compare or feel challenged to, I got to do more because if I want to have these things, then I need to push myself. These things that you're talking about are so good, but you're right. If we don't find them at the right time, it's not going to be the right thing. And so what do you feel like in this journey you're in? Obviously you mentioned something very big, which we mentioned in the last episode, that time has been a big factor. So you've had the time now to actually be, introspective and ask yourself those questions, learn yourself again. What are some of the tools you're utilizing now to find those practices with the time you have now?
Yeah. What's really interesting is that it's actually, there is no good time.
Yeah.
Because this part of your life, it isn't like I keep coming back to the word, it's not ever going to be convenient.
Yeah, that's
it's not
true.
ever going to be convenient. And so finding this extra space to connect, and tools, like the tools, honestly, that I've been using, I've always had journaling as a tool. So that's always been part of what I do believe is in my like spirituality practice, like just getting up, and I would make it as part of my day. So I would like always have my, I made the most amazing CEO school planner. Like I love that thing. I don't even know why, it's just, I used to share it all the time. I don't even share it anymore. But that planner has like, it's so easy. I would have my affirmations. Like it's so simple. It's like 2 minutes just to write down, to get myself grounded. And then I would just write to the universe. Like I would just write a letter and just share what was on my mind, or what was like, after my dad passed, I would like write letters to my dad and just like say hi to him and just connect with him. And I just felt like it was like a way to connect.
Yeah.
And writing has always been, I'm a creative. And so writing is something that just comes naturally to me. I love to share my words. That's something that I love to do. I love to share. And I'm like saying that, and I can actually think of little Suneera. Do you know that I was the youngest published author in Pakistan?
No,
I wrote an encyclopedia on plants.
Stop.
Such a
Of course you did.
Of course I did. Okay. But writing is such a love. And so that's why it came naturally to me. But also it was like an act of doing, because I couldn't get my mind to be still.
Yeah.
And so that was like a good first step in being able to like release what was inside. And what happens when you write, for those that might be super type A, like me, or that can't get their mind still.
Yeah.
So I would keep the planner, or, your journal or whatever you're writing in, I would put it right on my desk. So wherever I would come back when I about to start my work day. And the reason I did it for my work day is because I used to watch all of these amazing influencers and amazing business leaders online, and they would wake up at 5 a.m. and have their matcha and then like write in their journal. And then it'd be like a perfect shot with like, I woke up like this, and I'd just be like, oh my God, how am I going to, and the girls are so little, and it was like, the business is crazy. Like I could not do it. And then when I was getting up, then I was trying to prioritize like working out or getting like just myself ready, because I was physically going into the office. I was like too much to try to like add in a spiritual practice in the morning.
Yeah. Let alone meditating.
Where
you're supposed to like quiet your mind.
Yes.
Like I'm going
to share how I'm doing that.
But I want to hear how you're doing that.
So I was in a place where it was like it just wasn't for me. But I want to be that. Like I want to be that.
Right.
I want to be her, right? Like when I know I'm her, right? I am her.
She's in there.
She's in there. We can do this. And I know it's good for us. Like we know things are good for us, but it doesn't mean it's just like it's not always going to be perfect. So couldn't get that practice in. But what I could do is leave my planner on my desk. So after the kids are settled or after the mornings happen, I am going to show up to work. I knew that about me.
Right.
I'm going to show up every day to the desk, either the desk at home or the desk in the office. And I would have a one journal there and one journal at my home desk. And it would literally be sitting right on my keyboard. Okay. So you
hijacked yourself.
So I of course, because that's what I knew how to do. I like made systems. And so that was a system. So I put the journal on the desk, and no matter when I got there, it would take, whether it's a 2 minute or it'd be 5 minutes, all I would do is write down like the 3 things I'm grateful for. And that came so easy because it was like always like about my kid, like whatever was happening that morning, just take like 3 gratitude, 3 affirmations, and then I would take 2 minutes to just write. And sometimes, and I learned how to journal through just going to like our retreats and things, like just being around other spiritual women of like, I can write what's in my head. And I had even like on the, I created a page in the journal, which had journal prompts.
Yes.
So it was like, if I couldn't figure out like what I wanted to do, it was like, write how the day went today. I love that one. So if it was like a busy day, or I was waiting for an important contract, or I had a big speech, or I don't know, something was happening in the house, but I'm like, today was fantastic, and this happened, and this contract got signed, and Sal and I didn't have a fight today, like whatever it was, like here's how like the board responded to this, or we like were able to get that hire that I've been like trying to get, and I really wanted this one candidate, and like she accepted. Amazing. Like whatever the things were, I would like write down how the day went, and end the day, and then be like, thank you universe for like the best day. Right. Awesome. Like it's just like a forward. That was like one of my favorite ways to journal. I haven't done that in a little bit. So I got into the practice of journaling, which I do believe is like a really like and it could just be all the things that might be what you need. It worked really well for me as somebody who's likes to write, who's type A, who needed something to do. And it didn't feel like it was like fully off because my brain's working. But what I will say is that your brain, if you're not speaking, works a lot faster than how you're editing your words. Like right now, without even me knowing it, I'm editing my words. Right. But if I'm writing in silence, then my words aren't edited. So I wasn't ever allowed to like scratch it. So whatever the thought, you just have to like continue.
You just have to keep going.
You just have to keep going.
I love that.
So that was like a huge part of my practice over the last decade as CEO. Like hands down, the thing that probably got me through a lot of stuff was that little journal.
Yeah.
And that was the way I hijacked it. 5 minutes. That was it. That's what I could do. Right. And now, and when you said time, so going back to what you say, now that you have the time. So I have all the time in the world.
Yes, you
do. That's the mantra. That's our collective mantra, right? Oh, I have all the time in the world. And I don't have all the time in the world, but I can make the time for what I want.
Yeah.
That's the shift.
Right.
And so now that I've made the time for all the other things and I've made habits out of it, this year I was really focused. I really wanted to give meditation a shot. Mm-hmm. And so I started with huge shout out to the Daily Calm. That app, so easy. And my favorite podcaster in the world is Jay Shetty. I don't know if you guys all know this. I'm obsessed. And I'm actually going to be on the show this fall.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I'm so excited. It's so exciting. But he has a 7-minute, it's called Daily J.
Oh,
and it's 7 minutes and you get to like, and it's almost like a mini podcast.
Okay. It's
so
like a guided meditation.
It's a guided meditation
okay.
and it's like a thought of the day. So it's like he tells a really good story and it's like, here's this thought and like, here's how I've applied it or how he's applied it or how we can apply it. So it like leaves you thinking.
Right.
And then you just take 2 minutes to close your eyes and to like breathe.
Kind of internalize
So it's at 7 minutes. So I started with that as like my daily J. And then I started using the app a bit more. So I really, again, this is just a genuine plug for the app. Like I just love it. So I'll link it into the show notes. We have like no affiliation there, but it's just easy. Like it was just easy and I just made it part of it. And even with the girls, so the Daily J was like listening to something, 7 minutes. I even did it on the drive. So I'm going to give a disclaimer. Do not meditate and drive, like not with your eyes closed. Like please, 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 please do not do this. But I would just listen. Like it was just like, because my drive is like literally 8 minutes from like my house to the office. I could like drop the kids and then get to the office and just listen to 7 minutes and just like starting your like headspace, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever that is. So it wasn't the closing the eyes body scan or anything like that, but I would listen to Daily J on the drive. And at nighttime, then I started incorporating. So bedtime is the hardest for my kids. Do not effing fall asleep. Like I have to sleep with them.
I was going to say, okay, my kids are still at that stage. When does that end?
I don't know. Somebody else, please tell us.
Tell us, please. Tell us in the show notes.
I just have to sleep with my kids.
I literally have to lay down. And I just tell myself this won't be forever. And one day I'm going to wish. And so I try not to wish this season away. But yes, my kids are totally in the, I got to lay there and they got to be touching me.
Yes.
And then they'll fall asleep.
I literally am sleeping in the middle of the two of them. They both sleep in my bed too. So I'm just going to share that too. Like my kids sleep in my bed all the time. Back to school. So we're trying to like get into like the new groove of it. So every other night, Faisal and I have been alternating. But it's just like, I'm like, good night. Like I'm not going to see him till 2 a.m. until he like wakes up. But so what I started to do with the girls is, because I'm also just trying to get my space in and it helps them calm down. So the Calm app would have like these just guided body scans and like whatever else. So I've just gotten them to do it with me. Yeah. And so now we're like, do it together. and we relax our minds, and it's just it was a guided meditation.
Yes.
And so guided really helped me because I could like pick a time as well. So I'm like, here's the time. Somebody else is like doing the speaking, and I just kind of have to listen and just tune out. So those were like the two things, like the two times that I was practicing it. And I have like my most amazing, like my mentor, Laura, who is so spiritual and just the most amazing person in my life in that way, has always encouraged me to find like 2-minute breath pauses in between meetings. You just stay grounded. So there's all these like things that you can do, and there's lots of apps out there for that. So if you can do that and you can incorporate into your day, it doesn't have to be this like huge thing. It can just be in bite-sized chunks too. So allow yourself permission to just play. Okay. Yeah. So just play with it and see what works for you and just incorporate that. So that's kind of been what the last couple years of spirituality has been for me. And then this year I was like, I think I'm ready to like take it to the next level. And I, like post our Nashville retreat. And this is why people just come into your life. And I'm going to invite Joanna Chanis onto the show. Yes. She doesn't even know we're talking about this right now, but she's like my Greek older sister. And she is like my spirit animal in every way. She's like the most badass businesswoman. Her daughters are older. And I think I look up to her because I think she's just such a great mom. Yeah. And awesome. Her daughters are like just in the best colleges, and they're independent. And Joanne, if you meet her, she's also 5 feet tall, and she's like a firecracker.
She is a firecracker, that one.
She is like, her business energy is so on point. She's super successful, and she just lives her life unapologetically. I cannot describe what else Joanna is like, but I feel like it's who I am, but still a little reserved. Like I'm like ready to be Joanna all the time. And so I got a chance we've been connected online for a while, and I'm obsessed with her, and she's like part of our group in the Millionaire Founders Club. And we just super connected. And when I was on that stage, like on one of the fireside chats where we were like, y'all were asking me all the open questions and things like that, like stuff about my dad came up, and then I was sharing some of the things, and she just like afterwards came and just gave me this hug that I just felt like it was my dad. Like I don't know how to describe the feeling. I don't know how to describe what it was, what the energy was, but I just felt different presence in like, and I'm not saying, Joanna, it was you. So like it was just that energy. And I don't know. And that moment, she just like gave me afterwards, she just like pulled me aside, and we just had like this moment. And she's just like, I'm just called to like share some things with you, and I'm going to call you next week. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I got on a call with her, and we had we were just talking about life. Like we didn't even talk about business. We were just talking about life, and she was just getting to know like so many other things about my life. And she just honestly took me in like as a mentee. Like, I don't know, like just a big sister. Like, I don't know. You know how our group is. Like, it's just women supporting women. It was, there's no agenda on any of it. There's no agenda, And then she's like, okay, next week, what time do you want to chat? And I'm like, okay, let's just do next Friday. Right. And again, like we don't have the time, but you make the time. Right. And I was like, okay, let's chat next Friday. And we just started this like, I don't even know what it is.
This is what it feels like to have a sister.
This is what it feels like to have a sister.
Sounds like.
I know. And I have friends, right? I have sisters. I have sisters and all different kinds of sisters.
Absolutely.
But I think people come into your life for different, and you just sometimes also have to be ready, and you have to lean in. And I'll tell you, Laura has been in my life as a mentor, and she's very spiritual, and she's going to be like, girl, I've been telling you this shit for so long. Like I went to lunch with her last week. But it's also, I believe in like, people are sent into your life for different things. And so I don't know what it was. I don't know why. We just started talking, and all we would talk about is spirituality. Yeah. And she was like, and I got curious about her spirituality. I was like, and I think it started because I was like, I just felt this like presence.
It was tangible for you in that moment.
And she was like, oh, I channel. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know. And some of this stuff, like we've had amazing mindset women as part of the retreats. Like we always have, like we've done EFT, we've done tapping, we've done energy stuff. And it always feels really great. But a huge part of me sometimes is like, there's so much woo in it. Like, how do I apply it? Whatever else. I just felt like leaning in, and we've just been connecting about it. And then she's just been giving me things to read and things to listen to. And so I have been doing that. And so many things that I'd already been doing. Like I've, really like one of my favorite authors for the longest, Gabby Bernstein.
Yeah.
Huge fan of Gabby. She was supposed to come on the show.
Yes, I remember
Yes.
that.
And her and then they canceled like multiple times and then we never got her back.
I know.
We should try to reach out. Gabby,
Yes.
if you're listening, we got to have you back
Yes.
on the show. You were supposed to be on the show in 2022, I believe.
Yes.
And we were so excited to
And
have
this was
her.
before I was not letting people back on the show.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yeah, when people canceled, you're like,
People were
no.
like, you're no longer welcome.
No, but we got to have Gabby.
Yes.
So Gabby's book,
Gabby, you're
Super
welcome.
Attractor. That
Yes.
book, I go back and listen to it all the time. So many great lessons from it. And so Joanna and I were talking about Super Attractor. So I just got connected with it. But she recommended this meditation course. And it's called Transcendental Meditation. And I don't even know if I'm supposed to be talking about it because I'm not supposed to teach this stuff. Like I'm not, and I truly am not, I don't even know because it's like you're supposed to just go on your own journey on some of these things.
Right.
But she recommended that I go on this path, and whatever that path was to go on this, to take this course, and then you meet with, you physically go and learn how to meditate. And I decided earlier in the summer that I was going to get this done because I wanted to start this school year. Like I knew where my energy was,
Right.
but I'm like, I just felt it. I felt like this is the time I'm going to do it. And it was a time commitment. I had to make time to go literally drive to go meet. I'm not supposed to talk about it. I had to go put
Don't
the time.
talk about it.
Not supposed to talk
Okay.
about it. I'm not supposed to talk about it, but I put in the work.
Yes, you put in the
I put in the work, and I will tell you, I never thought I could be one of those humans that could ever turn my brain off.
Mm-hmm.
I meditate every single day, and I don't know if I'm going to continue to meditate every single day for that long.
Proof.
You've seen the
Yes.
proof. Every single day for about 25 minutes in the morning and like in the early after, like in early evening.
Right.
So 2 times a day, which is almost an hour a day. That is like the most insane amount of
Yeah,
time to go
that's a
find, which I
lot.
do not have. But somehow when you are ready to go do it, I feel like the universe aligns it for you too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been committed. And the practice is so simple. Like once I just let go of all of the things and they have like, it's like a very specific way to meditate, I can get into that zone in like 3 minutes and be completely off, like completely off.
Right.
And where there's no thoughts in my mind. Like
Wow.
it's literally silence. I'm in like the most deepest part of myself and I can be there. And I'm probably doing many things that are not like, I'm getting a chance to like pray. Like at the end of every meditation, like you're supposed to come out because it's not a religious thing. But at the end of every meditation, like I can't close my eyes and like not pray for my kids. Like it's just like my eyes close and I like start my meditation in gratitude and like get myself to relax. And then I'm in that zone and I'm able to turn my brain off. And when you're supposed to wake, you're not supposed to like just get out of meditation.
Right.
So it's nice even when you have like guided meditations and stuff, they like ease you out of it because your mind is like in nice, like it's in its trance. It's like waking up from sleep.
Right.
Like, and then your heart's going to palpitate or you're like not ready for it. You'll get vertigo.
Right.
And so you like come out of it slowly. And I find that I'm actually now getting to pray because I've created space.
Right.
And I get to like at the end of it, I get to do like a couple minutes of however long I want in prayer and just having gratitude for this life and this opportunity that I have. And I do feel aligned in my purpose. And I just want to be guided on I really ask to be guided on the right path, right? To just like, check myself. I want to check my, like, I think one of the biggest like things that I'm not struggling with or I'm trying to learn and uncover, and I'm going to have Joanna on here for this conversation, is really about the ego.
Yeah.
And it's okay. We all have an ego. Like we operate out of our ego. And ego doesn't necessarily mean, we can name it as like the ego. But like what happens if we like live without an ego and we just like live with just purpose and we live with just acceptance and we live with just surrender? Like what would that look like just to be in the now and to be in the present constantly?
Yeah.
And I really do feel like I've been trying to apply those learnings and I feel like it's working.
Yeah.
And I've surrendered and I'm like, okay, great. This is where I'm just doing. And life feels just doable. Like it all just feels at flow. And when I find, like I was sharing with you last several weeks, I've been feeling at resistance. I feel like I'm putting in all this work. And then like things like, I don't know, I've just had like, you know, some contracts hold up for work. Things are like, everything's getting there, but then it's just like some hiccup that's happening over everything.
Right.
And I called Joanna and I'm like, I don't know, like I literally feel like I'm in resistance with the universe. And I went back and I was listening to like Super Attractor again, because that book always gets me like back in grounded. And the principle that I love from Super Attractor is this, like, and I share this with my kids. My kids will tell you, like, I do it this way. I'm like, there's two energies, right? Like if you're good energy and you have, you know, the negative energy. And if you want to be on the positive energy, because when you're on positive energy, you're going to stay in positive energy. And if you're going to, you know, if you're going to move out of positive energy into negative energy, then guess what? You're going to stay in negative energy.
Right.
So that's like literally what happens when you know, if you're winning, you're winning. What happens when you're winning? Like you're just winning, you're winning. And if you're not, when you start your day or you spill your coffee, and it could be something so small that gets you in negative energy. Right. But if you get into negative energy, get yourself out immediately as quickly as you can with positive thoughts or positive energy, gratitude, whatever you can to move yourself back up into the positive energy so that you can stay in positive flow.
Right.
That concept is, to me, makes complete sense.
Right.
Like it makes complete sense. Like when you have a bad day and you spill your coffee, you're like, oh, this happens. And then your whole day, there's a series of unfortunate events constantly taking place.
Well, and your brain is constantly looking for the evidence of this day sucks.
Yes. And
that's why our words matter. And we have to be so careful with our words.
So much so. And so that concept is super attractive. I share that with my family, with my kids. And I really do believe that we can get back into this positive state. And why people who are in that positive state, you just law of attraction, like you're attracting positivity. So I've always understood that. And so sometimes I need that reminder. So I was in resistance last couple of weeks where I just felt like I was in resistance. And Joanna was like, because you're manic manifesting. Like you are literally doing the work because you're such a good student. So when I give you an assignment, you're just like, I got it. I'm 12 hours of meditation done this month. Like I'm a pro.
You're like, got my gold star.
Yes. Doing it. Winning. But I'm manic. I'm doing it because like, check myself, right? It's okay if like the instructor, like the TM instructor is like, we have to do 2 times a day. Like that's what we're supposed to do. But Sunny, you don't have to do that. Like just do it in the morning. Do it when it feels up. Do it when it's in flow.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, okay. And then last week, so my call with her was like last Friday. And I've been coming in here to that, like to the show last couple of weeks. And I've been, you know, I always like, this is my therapy room, by the way. So Carlos and Carolina know everything about my life. I was complaining to Carlos when I was in here last that like, there's so many things that are just not, I'm just so close and it's just not happening. And Friday I had my call and I'm like, okay, fine. And so guess what? I meditated less this week. I like literally missed Friday. I missed one meditation on Sunday. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do what feels right. It's Monday. I come in here. You're like, how's? I'm like, I got the contract. I did the thing. I did the whatever. And I do believe that too. Right. So we just have to let it flow. Yeah. So with that, I took a training on meditation, which for people like me who need like structure and things like that, TM was really helpful. It is a time commitment. But I also am approaching it now, which I wasn't last month, with the lens that I'm just going to let it flow. Yeah. But it has come naturally right now for me, but I think I was ready for it. Yeah. And I'm excited on where it's going to take me. Yeah. And I'm not looking to be the most like crazy, like, you know, it doesn't have to be intense. And something had to give. So remember the buckets, right? Something had to give. Right. Guess what I haven't been doing consistently? My workouts right now. Right. Because I either I wake up in the morning and I do that, or like I can do this. And so now this next couple of weeks, I'm going to try to like incorporate a little bit more balance into it. So that's what I've been doing.
I love that. And I love that you touched on alignment and like, and this is, here we go. I'm going to get canceled for this, but this is like my gripe with manifestation, right? Like, and specifically relying on manifestation is that we can't. Manifestation says, I'm going to speak this, I'm going to say this, and it's going to happen, right? But then where's the room for God or the universe or whatever, you know, your belief, that higher power for you is? Where's the room for that to have space and say, well, this is what I think is best for your life, right? Manifestation imposes my will into my life.
Mm.
And perhaps your will is this big, right? If you're looking on YouTube, my will for my life is this good. And God's over here going, but I've got all of this.
Mhm.
And if you just zone in on this little piece, you're going to miss out on all of this. So yes, have the faith, declare the things you want, work towards the things you want, but if it's your will,
I love that.
right?
I think that's a huge part of it, which I have had a hard time understanding, is that piece of surrender.
Yeah.
Like Laura and I would talk about this. Literally, our calls were every other week, were my coaching calls. And it's good. Get yourself some mentors.
Yes,
Like there are people
absolutely.
that are like, just if you feel inclined to do it, I need accountability systems. And so for me, it's just a space for me to do it. Find it, a group of girlfriends. Like there are so many
Yes.
ways to go about accountability. But Laura and I would chat about, she's like, Suneera, you can't control everything. And I do know that I can will my way towards anything I want.
Right.
Because if I'm going to put my mind to it, I will find a way to do it. But what you said, Carolina, is so important, because there is a greater plan. And I do
Yes.
believe that there is a greater plan. And there is a path. Like there is an amazing, like we get, and then there's all these options on our path too. I also believe that
Yeah.
the path doesn't just come like perfectly like defined and like whatever my interpretation of the universe is. I feel like
Yes.
we're co-creating
Absolutely.
every day with the universe.
Absolutely.
And it's also what
It's
the
an
universe
invitation
needs.
to partner.
It is.
And it's your will. You have a
It
will,
is.
right?
It is. It really is. And so I do believe that it's like that. There is that component of finding space to just let it also happen
Mhm.
while, sharing what the things that you want, right? So like
Yes.
manifesting that, and then affirming it, like also getting mentally ready for that, which is like
Right.
that part's important, and putting in the work, right? Like
Yes.
that part, you can't, it doesn't
Absolutely.
go without the other. You are rewarded for that work. We always say
Absolutely.
hard work is the shortcut. There is no
Yes.
shortcut in any of this. Me getting to this point of like these 3 episodes we've been talking about, it took so long, right? And
Mhm.
I'm still on that, and it's going to change and it's going to evolve. And I think what I've learned is just a little bit of grace, and like just to be like, okay, this is what it can look like
Yes.
too.
Yes.
What does it look like for you? Because something that I admire about you so much is your faith. Like you find ways to connect with women in
Mhm.
faith, business and in faith. You're
Mhm.
so grounded in your faith as a mother.
Yeah.
How do you incorporate all of that? Because you've had this part from me, from an outside in looking for, you've had this
Yeah.
down packed.
Yeah. I think, it's interesting. For me, I went on that journey early on in my life. And so it's been a very, it's my center. Like my faith is my center. And I love that we can have this conversation, with varying faiths and with varying perspectives on our faith and our journey. And I love hearing your story, because I always feel like the one thing people can't, we can sit here and discuss theology and religion and all the different things, but the one thing that people can't take away from us is our experiences, right?
Yeah.
And so I love hearing, other people's experiences and how they're finding that. But for me, obviously, the Christian faith was really where I kind of found myself and grounded myself. And it's been a lot of that, right? Like it's a partnership for me. I know that God has a plan for my life, but he's inviting me to be a part of it and to create with him what that plan looks like. And so even as you're saying what you just said now about like, hard work is the shortcut and we have to work, it is an invitation to partner with him, and he can find somebody else to do what I'm doing right now, right? He can find somebody else to have mothered my children or whatever, but he chose me and invited me to be a part of that. And I said yes. And, I love that in the Bible, which is kind of our guiding book, it says that God orders our steps, and not our thoughts, not our dreams, not our hopes, but our steps. And so we have to get out there and move. And so for me, every
I love
day
that.
is a stepping out in faith. Every day is I don't know what this is going to look like, but I'm trusting that even if I take the wrong path or make a wrong decision, that in that surrender, God's going to correct. And so, that's kind of my thing, is just really finding, like I said in the last episode, really abiding. So for me, spending that time with God in the morning and saying, hey, this is your day. What are we doing today, God? What does this look like today? Who do I need to talk to? Allowing for moments of interruption. I may be here and we may be having this conversation. I had plans today, but today you were like, we're going to be on this conversation.
I did.
And to be honest, I was a little like, shoot, am I prepared for that conversation? And I literally sensed that God was like, yeah, you are, because you lived this. You're fine. Like, it's okay. And so, yeah, allowing interruptions, allowing grace, and then just actually walking out.
And I love that. And I do feel at purpose with this. Like, there is a reason why today, all of a sudden, when you texted, you were like, and I was like, I saw you at the office. You were at my office earlier. And we were like in a really big building. And so I like saw a glimpse of Carolina, and I'm like, wait, I'm going to see you in the afternoon. You're like, yeah, studio's ready for 1. And I was like, no, let's make it ready for 2. I feel like let's just continue the conversation. But you could have, like, that was an invitation, right? And there's probably a reason why you and I are sitting here today. Absolutely. And there's somebody listening, and there's so many women listening that this is relating to, and that they're on their own spirit path, whatever that path is. And it is important. I do feel like I get to share, like, I'm so grateful that I get to share your perspective as well, because I don't want it to just, that's the whole point. Like, I don't want it to just be my perspective. I'm so tired of everyone telling us what we should be doing. It's your path. It's our path. Absolutely. We get to decide. We get to co-create. Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be textbook perfect. I think that that's the thing that I want to kind of close this conversation up with. The biggest thing that I've learned about all of this, and that's what I'm so excited about this chapter, and I know we're just in this like new beginning part of the season, but it really is the journey. Yes. Like, it really is the journey. Like, that is what it's about. That's what this whole freedom, everything that I've been talking about freedom for, I finally understand it myself. Like, for me, it had to come in the order that it had to come. Absolutely. And it really is about that freedom. And it's all come full circle. I've always said, what is the freedom formula? I've always said it's freedom of dollar, it's freedom of time, and it's freedom of impact. Yes. And this is the impact. It's purpose. That's right. It's living life with purpose. And I do believe that the women in this corner and this part of the internet, that we're all together, there is something energetic about this space. Like, there is something. Every woman that comes through our space, that you're listening, and you're just part of our tribe. It is a special place of the internet. Like, I just feel that energy. It's different. And there is a lot of alignment of purpose. Every woman that I get to meet, that we get to serve, we get to, like, constantly, Carl's been with us for so long with all the things. Every woman they're starting a business because they have to. Like, there's a problem that no one else is solving for their kids, for their communities, for their family. Like, there's so much purpose. It's not just for the sake of starting a business. And there's nothing wrong with wanting that freedom of dollar for your family and for the things, but there really is a greater why in every single one of your stories. And that's what inspires us to continue to serve. And it's so important that your businesses succeed, not just in this small realm of, what your plan is, right? Yes. It's like there's a bigger plan.
That bigger plan.
There's a bigger plan.
Yes.
Oh my God, Caro, thank you so much for letting all of this interruption happen and going with the flow. I hope today's episode left you with all the feels that you need to feel. Also, wherever you are in your journey, trust that part of that journey. And let's continue that conversation from the podcast, online, and hopefully connecting in the rooms. Yes. And if we can be of resource, you know where to find both Carolina and myself. So we'll link, our names are obviously on YouTube below, but you can find us, obviously, you know where to find me, you know where to find me, you know where to find us. Everything's in the show notes. And share this episode. I do believe that there's a purpose why we're doing this. I'm going to keep inviting Carolina back. So if you enjoyed the show, screenshot this and tell us we want more Caro, because I'm just trying to convince her to stay as my official co-host and have more of these. I think the next few sets we'll get back into a little business. Yes. Right. I think let's talk a little business. Let's get back. But this is business. Business is personal. And when we're happy and well and all of that, the business will flow. Because we'll be in the right energy, right? The two energies will be in the positive energy flow. Thank you so much for listening to the CEO School podcast. We'll see you next week, and I'll see you online.